So I just imported this photo now from my gallery into my Adobe Lightroom mobile application. As you can see, this photo is raw, it's untouched, it's unedited. We're gonna work on it together. We're gonna edit it together. Just want to tell you that this photo has been taken in the time of the day where the sun is very bright. It's not ideal. However, we're still gonna manage to edit it and to make it look nice. The very first thing that I like to work on or to play around with is the geometry, which is there, so it changes the perspective of the photo. I'm not going to go into details about the rule of third and the rule of thumb. Just want to tell you that whichever element is important to you in the photo, for example in this photo it's me and Kyle, to bring it into attention or to bring the photo into a more interesting photo, it's nice if the main element is not in the middle of the photo. So here the main element, which is us, is in the middle of the photo. In my opinion, I think it's nice if I bring ourselves into one of the corners of the photo, which would make the whole photo look more interesting. But before we do that, so I click on the geometry. I like to usually play around with the distortion and the vertical. I'll show you what they do. The distortion, if you bring it a little bit up like that, does this, which I think is nice. The vertical makes you look taller, so I like usually to play around a little bit with the vertical. Let's say a little bit like that. Sometimes I would use also the aspect. I don't think I'll use it for this photo, but just to show you what it does, it like stretches the photo vertically up. I'm just gonna undo this because I think it's a bit too much for this photo. I don't need it. After I play around with the geometry, I go to the crop and I unlock it so that I can crop it manually the way I like. So I'm just gonna crop it first like that, and then I told you I want to make the photo look more interesting, so I want to bring us to the sides. Now you see there is a man in the background there. I can remove him using the healing tool that you can find in Adobe Lightroom or in a lot of other programs, but I won't need to do that because anyway I'm gonna crop him and I'm gonna put us in the side of the photo like that, which would be more interesting. I'm gonna remove that part down there and done. I think I want to also straighten a little bit the photo. Also I go to crop again and I press on straighten, unlock to straighten it the way I like. I think it just needs a little bit. I can't see very well, but I think the grid lines help. So that's too much. I think it just needs this much, just a little tiny bit, and then I'll crop it again. And done. Perfect. And now the fun and interesting parts start. So we're gonna start editing the photo. So the first thing you want to do is change the light. So here you have the option to play around or to change the exposure, contrast, highlights, shadows, and the black and white. So as I said before, this photo has a lot of light in it. The sun was bright, so I want to bring the exposure a little bit down like that. The contrast also I like usually to bring it down, but let me tell you, these options here, these tools, sometimes I go back and forth, and sometimes I leave them towards the end. So after I do the basic things that I start with, after I finish the color grading and the color editing, I might go back to at the end and do some changes. But usually to start off, this is what I do. I like to also bring the highlights a little bit down, and the shadows I like to bring down so that the photo is looks like a little bit like that. The black and whites I'm not gonna do anything with. Now I might change towards the end, but for now that's what I'm gonna do. After this step, we go to the color, and here you can change the temperature, tint, vibrance, and saturation. For the temperature, if you bring it up, the photo will be more orange or yellowish. If you bring it down, it'll be more towards the blue. And usually, now definitely it depends on the photo and depends on your preference as well. I prefer usually to bring the photo more towards the blues rather than the yellow, but again, it depends also on the photo. For this photo, I'm gonna do the blue, but that's too much. So I'm just gonna do a little bit like that, bring it a little bit down. That's perfect. The tint usually I don't like to play around with, but just to show you what it does, so it changes the whole colors of the photo. I'm not gonna do that, just undo. Vibrance makes the colors pop in your photo, so a little bit up is nice. Saturation, usually I like to bring it a little bit down so that the photo is a little tiny bit faded, like that. That's, I think, also that's a lot. So let me just a little bit. Oh no, sorry. Yeah, okay. Now we're still in the same section in the color. We come to the most interesting and important and fun and my favorite part. It's the mix button right there. So here you get to change the hue, saturation and luminance to each and every color in your photo. I like to usually start with the blue. As you can see, my Instagram, I focus a lot on the blue in my Instagram, and whenever the photo has blues, I start with that. Here you can do that in two different options. You can either click on the blue and then play around with the hue, saturation or luminance, or, and which I prefer, you can click on that button with the 4 arrows up there and you go immediately to the color in your photo that you want to play around with. So for example, if I want to start with the sky or with the blue, I press on the sky, I keep pressing, and I can change either the saturation, you can see down there, the saturation, hue or luminance. Let's start with the hue. So I click on the hue and I go back to pressing on the sky, and the hue gives you different shades of blues. So if you go up, for example, it's more towards the purple. If you go down, it's more towards the blue, and I like that for the sky. But this is very bright, so I press on the saturation and I bring the saturation a little bit down like that. Now for the luminance plays with the darkness. You can change the darkness of the same shade of the color. For example, for this blue, for this exact blue that I chose, I can make it darker or lighter. If I go down, you can see up there the numbers when I'm scrolling down or up. So now I'm scrolling down, it brings the luminance darker, so the color darker, or up, it'll make the color lighter. So I'm just gonna bring it, I think that's nice. You can play around and see what you like, see what works. That's regarding the blue. Now we have another blue in the photo, which is in the river. And by the way, in this video I'm not gonna do the selective coloring, but I'm gonna tell you about it, and we can leave it to another video, because in this video I just want to target the main things or the basic things that you can do using Adobe Lightroom. But for example, using the selective tool that I'm going to show you after we finish this step, we can color the parts that are not blue in the river and make them blue. So you can change any color in your photo into a totally different color. You can do anything, literally anything. But for now I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to adjust the blues that are already there in the river. So again, I'm going to click on the hue, I'm going to click on the blue here, I'm going to bring it more towards the blue, and I'm going to bring the saturation down. The luminance, let's see if I do that or that. You can play around with these 3 and you'll figure it out. The more you practice, the more you will know what you like, and you will know how these things work and how to use them. Okay. After the blue, I like to play around with the green, especially in this photo. I've got a lot of green and like a lot of nature. So let's work on the hue first of the green. So let's see what would be nicer. So I like to make it like, I like this shade of green, and I'll bring the saturation down like that, and I think I'll make it darker. So I'll bring the luminance down. You see, like, you can go back and forth, see what you like, see what works. Okay, I want to show you before we continue the before and after. So if I long press on the photo, it'll show us the before, and this is the after. So you can already start to see the difference. Let's continue. So I'm going to go back to mixed, and you can see in this photos that I'm wearing a red fuchsia dress, and it's a nice change of color, because you can see that this color is different than all the other colors that are in the photo. So I want to make my dress pop. I want to make the photo look more interesting. So again, I'm going to click on the arrows, and I'm going to start with the hue, because I want to make the color more towards the red rather than the fuchsia. So I'm gonna bring it up like that, and I'm gonna bring the saturation up because I want this color to pop. The luminance, I'm gonna bring it down so it's darker. You can see already the difference, and I'm in love. So again, I'm gonna show you the before and after. Once we finish playing around with the colors, before we carry on, I just want to show you the selective tool that I was telling you about. This is the very first button down there. I'm not going to use it for this photo. We might do that in another video. So after this step, I usually go to details, and I like to sharpen my photos a little bit. You can go as up as you like. Now, I also like to play around with the noise reduction just a little bit. So if you've done a lot of editing, if you did a lot of changes to the photo, it's nice to just bring the noise reduction a little bit up. Not all the way up, because then you'll get, if you bring it, like I'll show you, if you bring it like that, the photo will be, you can see the river, it's very blurry and it's not nice. So just a little tiny bit is nice. You can also do the same for the color noise reduction, just a little tiny bit up. And then I go back to, let me show you this, I go to effects. I like to bring the texture a little bit up. You can see the difference if you look at the river. Let me show you again. So that's how it was. And look at the river. It's a little bit also like the sharpening tool. The clarity also, I like to bring it a little bit up, not as much, like that. Now the last part is the grain amount, and this is definitely, it depends on what, if you prefer, if you like grain or not. I like grain amount. I like the grainy photos. It gives this like vintage look to the photos, but also it depends on the photos. For example, let's see this photo. I don't think I'm gonna add as much grain. I mean, it's nice, but I don't want to do that for this photo. But you can see how it looks like vintage. I like that. But for now, I think I'm gonna do a little bit, and then after you put the grain amount, you can also play with the size and the roughness of the grains. So maybe we increase the roughness a little bit, increase the size. So yeah, that's it. I like it. I'm gonna show you the before and the after. I hope you guys liked it. Don't forget to save it. So I don't know if it's gonna save now because I'm on airplane mode, but let me try. So I press on that share button up there, and I can either share it immediately to my Instagram or to wherever I want to post it, or I can save it to my device into my gallery. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time, but this is it basically, guys. I hope you liked the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Perfect. Okay, and let me know if you like me to do more videos like that.